What's up, everybody? It's Josh coming at you from Nerdventures Tower. We now have our Thanos for the next phase of Marvel, our North Star, the ending event where all of this is headed, and it is Secret Wars. And this video is going to be the first video in a big series that we're going to do called The Road to MCU Secret Wars. And you can enjoy this video right now at the time of its recording and release, which is right after Multiverse of Madness coming out in theaters, or you can enjoy it the night before you are actually going to see the Secret Wars movie, or maybe the first in the Secret Wars trilogy, or whatever Feige ends up doing. Because I'm super confident this is the end game of this MCU, of where we're at currently in the MCU. Just like at the end of the first Avengers movie, you see Thanos and you have all kinds of crazy ideas and speculations as a big nerd on what that could mean. Hearing the word Incursions, seeing a multiversal group of Illuminati already cataloging the multiverse and understanding Incursions, going to a reality where two other universes collided and were destroyed because of Incursions, and seeing Clea in a post-credit scene talking about how Strange caused an incursion and they have to go stop it. All of that stuff sets up Secret Wars at that endpoint. That is where we are headed. But I think it's super important to TLDR for you the Secret Wars events from Marvel Comics and why I am so excited to see this happen in the MCU. Now, in Marvel Comics, there have been several different versions of the Secret Wars event. This all began with a comic event created by Jim Shooter, where basically like a bunch of people at Marvel, like higher ups, were like, hey man, we got to sell some freaking toys. Do a comic book event with all the best heroes versus all the best villains. And Shooter comes up with this idea of the Beyonder, this basically infinitely powerful being that comes down. He's interested in the heroes and the villains of the Marvel Universe. He takes some of the best ones, puts them all on a world that he creates, and he has them battle it out. And to be honest with you, it was a lot of fun, but not really a story of substance, right? It's fun. Dr. Doom gets the powers of the Beyonders. A bunch of crazy stuff happened in Secret Wars. They do a follow-up to it, but it wasn't until 2015, 2016 where you get the Secret Wars event by Jonathan Hickman. And it is this event where the Incursions come from, and it is this event that I think will make up the majority of the blueprint for what the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to do with their Secret Wars. Now, if you've watched Multiverse of Madness, you already know what the Incursions are. They are events where two realities come into conflict and collide, destroying one or both of the realities. Which is kind of crazy because in the comic books, you could actually save both realities by destroying one of the Earths. You see, in this event, or in the lead up to the Secret Wars event, our Illuminati discovers that the two Earths collide. That is where both universes decide to collide. It is Earth for reasons that are explained later. And if both Earths collide, both universes are destroyed. But if you destroy one of the Earths, then they don't actually collide and both universes just remain. This puts the heroes in the impossible situation to have to destroy whole other versions of Earth in order to save their own Earth, their own reality, and all of the reality outside of Earth from the opposing side. Now, skipping way ahead through a lot of crazy stuff, which I do recommend you go read or check out, like Rob from Comics Explained videos about, because it was freaking awesome and a lot of cool stuff happens. But eventually it comes down to two Earths, our 616 Earth and the Ultimates Earth. And basically, they're both colliding, both sides are fighting for their lives, and they collide and everything is destroyed. Everything in the multiverse, all of it is destroyed. However, there are three groups of heroes and villains that end up surviving the destruction of the multiverse and arrive on Battleworld. First, it's a group of villains called the Cabal. These folks were out there destroying worlds and honestly taking a lot of pleasure in doing so, but they were doing this to prevent the entire multiverse from collapsing, and they discover and create sort of a life raft that allows them to survive the calamity of the multiverse collapsing. Similarly, the Illuminati and Reed Richards from our Earth, Earth 616, they also create a raft and they're able to survive the collapsing multiverse as well. And then there was Dr. Doom and Doctor Strange, both of whom were secretly going out and doing crazy things in the multiverse to try and stop its collapse, to try to stop the Beyonders from destroying everything. And it's at this point in the story we realize why Earth was the collision point for the different universes, because there is a character known as Molecule Man, and we discover that Molecule Man is a bomb that was created by the Beyonders and placed into every reality. And essentially, the Beyonders created all of the multiverse as just an experiment. It's something like an ant farm to them. They grow bored of it, they grow tired of it, and they just want to destroy it. And the way to do that is to basically set off a bunch of collisions between different Earths, and both of the Molecule Men on those planets will collide and be destroyed. They'll blow up. But you see, Doctor Doom figured that out a long time ago, and he takes the Norman Reese, or the Molecule Man, from our universe, and he goes around to different universes and has that Molecule Man kill the other Molecule Man, absorbing his powers, that bomb-like power that the Beyonders put out there into the multiverse. Doctor Doom realizes he can take Molecule Man around, siphon off the power of his variants, and create a sort of battery of cosmic energy. And then with that power, Doctor Doom is able to defeat the Beyonders and absorb all of their power into the Molecule Man. And using that godlike power and the help of Stephen Strange, Doctor Doom reaches out into the destroyed cosmos, grabbing up every little bit that he can of the different universes, squishing them all together and creating his battle world. And this battle world was freaking sick, dude. It had a ton of different characters from throughout Marvel Comics history, new ones that were invented, and it had this really awesome Game of Thrones like theme where God Emperor Doom's literally sitting on a throne. There are different barons and dukes. It all feels very Game of Thrones, and it was freaking amazing. And all of that juicy stuff in some way, shape, or form is where we are headed now with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And the thing that's crazy is that the evidence was already there for Marvel fans, with the Russo brothers teasing out Secret Wars immediately after Endgame. And they've teased it out even more after that. And other insiders have talked about how Secret Wars is the next phase for Marvel. That's where all of this is headed. And those of you that have been watching my content for some time, you will know I've been preaching this. I've been talking about how Secret Wars is where we are going for almost 2 years now, and it is so damn nice to actually see it happening in front of us. But let's now talk about some of the evidence, some of the things being said out there by different people at Marvel that give us some kind of an indication on how the cinematic universe version of this event will go. It's obviously going to be different than the old shooter Secret Wars, than Secret Wars 2, and it's even going to be different than the Jonathan Hickman Secret Wars. Even though I think they're pulling a lot from that run, Marvel likes to change things up. They like to combine storylines, and an interesting point here is that Hickman's Infinity event, which also took place before his Secret Wars, was a big inspiration for things and characters brought into Infinity War and Endgame. Like the Black Order, all of those characters like Black Dwarf, like Proxima Midnight, like Corvus Glaive, like freaking, what's his Squidward looking dude? All of that stuff is created by Jonathan Hickman, and Marvel loves Hickman's stuff. I mean, most people love Hickman's stuff. It's amazing. He's one of the best comic book writers alive right now. But it is important to bring up that Jim Shooter made comments last year about how Marvel approached him and actually paid him because they are going to be using stuff from his original Secret Wars run in their cinematic universe, in some of their movies. So that's a really good sign that they're going to be bringing elements from that Secret Wars and elements from the Jonathan Hickman Secret Wars to what they do in their movies. I also think you can look at a lot of ancillary Marvel stuff, like the comic books, like different games, including the Guardians of the Galaxy game, but even mobile games like Future Revolution, and even the cartoons that Marvel puts out. And you can see all kinds of evidence for multiversal variants, for battle world type stuff, for a Secret Wars flavor that they are sort of trying to get a lot of normies to be accepting of and to understand. I will also tell you that I think Kang the Conqueror is going to be a very big part of this Secret Wars and possibly even replace the role of Doctor Doom from Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars. I mean, it's possible they'll do both of those characters justice and they'll both be big players in the multiversal wars to come, but it just feels like after watching Loki season 1, He Who Remains is very much going to be the person that was staying off another Secret Wars. He even talks about this. He survived the multiversal war between all the different Kang variants that happened eons ago. He sets up the sacred timeline to prevent the end of everything. And I've been saying since I watched Loki that I think when he says the end of everything, he's talking about the Incursions, and he's talking about the Beyonders just shutting off the multiverse. And so I think what you're going to get is something that combines Avengers Forever and the Kang character from Marvel Comics, something that involves the Incursions and Jonathan Hickman's run, and possibly Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange doing big things out there in the multiverse. And yeah, I do think you're going to get a little bit of flavor from the old 80s Secret Wars, and it's going to combine into something that I hope and I think will be absolutely epic for Marvel. And I also just want to say that a lot of the different cameos that were in Multiverse of Madness and some of the cameos that got cut from Multiverse of Madness, and even characters like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man or Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, are all on the table for Secret Wars. A lot of insiders have been talking about how people like Hugh Jackman and even Ben Affleck, who was approached to come back and play Daredevil for Multiverse of Madness, have said no for now, but they are open to returning for something like Secret Wars. And I also think that Secret Wars will be the place that brings back Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, and possibly even Chris Evans as the original Captain America, because that's kind of an event that would just be perfect for that. Bringing back the old, bringing in the new, bringing in the crazy throughout the multiverse, and having them all share the stage together. It would be absolutely brilliant. But let's go back to Kang for just a second, because I think it's really important to remind everybody that the MCU that we saw up until the Loki show was all crafted by He Who Remains, a Kang the Conqueror variant. And I think a lot of the differences in our reality versus the realities that are out there in the multiverse have to do with that. This universe still remains and is somehow still out there within the multiverse, but there are all sorts of other universes and other ways that events played out. Like, interestingly, in the 838 universe that we see in Multiverse of Madness, they defeat Thanos before he does the snap. So that universe never actually had Thanos do the snap. And perhaps the reason we don't have the Fantastic Four right now or the mutants has something to do with Kang. And I think you will see a scenario play out over the next couple of years where the variant of Kang that is still maybe crafting over our universe, or was crafting it when it was the Sacred Timeline, that he is still out there in some way, shape, or form, and he did something to make our universe special, to make our universe able to perhaps defeat the Beyonders. I think that is a thread that they will revisit later. But we have a ton of other videos to do. This is going to be a very long video series, as I think it will take years to get to Secret Wars. I'm super excited to share all of my different thoughts, and as information comes out, update you all about how I think it will tie together for the MCU Secret Wars. But make no mistake, this is the ground floor of the next epic saga in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which will arrive at Secret Wars.